Hello, you guys. So today I would like to share a funny story with you. And it's just funny because it was such a coincidence. And I'm really grateful that I was able to get this experience in my life because with the background of mine with being a nutritionist, I was able to learn so much about the reality of the food system that we are in. So I worked for an app and this is like they looked for people, it when they didn't have enough staff, they hired you on this app and they paid you crazy amounts of money for that because they were always low on staffs. So I was able to work at different restaurants. So I was working at local restaurants and in restaurants that are chains, at event spaces. I worked at so many in schools, in like private kitchens from companies. So I got a lot of different experiences about with people who prepare the food in hotels, a lot of different kitchens. And I really enjoyed that because it gave me such a different insight. And I was thinking about sharing a little bit about the time that I did that and what I learned from that, because I feel like this is a very important part because these are the people who prepare our food and that you and me eat. So the first thing I feel like is that these are one of the hardest people, hardest working people I've met. They are, the payment for people who work in the kitchen is very low, and that's why I think they're often understaffed, because people just leave left and right. It's also often not a really great atmosphere there to work at. So, every kitchen is different. I also had really great experiences. I had mostly great experiences, honestly. But I also talked to all the people that I worked with, and they are doing this every day. So they stand often in the heat, cooking your food all day on the feet and getting minimum wage. So that is, it just doesn't, I feel like that is one of the biggest issues. I feel like they definitely deserve more. And also for the people who own those restaurants or these kitchens, that it's hard for them to find people to work for them. So they're always understaffed, which brings even more stress into the situation. And so let's start with that, okay? And I feel like because they're underpaid, it also creates a lot more issues. One of the okay. So the biggest difference for me working, I worked at a local restaurant and I worked at a chain restaurant, and this chain is all over the world. And I worked there and I realized if you eat in a chain restaurant, let me tell you that it is hardly ever possible. So this is not about quality, you guys. So what I did, and I'm not telling the name of this restaurant, so I can tell what I did there. The pasta was pre-packaged. So it was in plastic, pre-packaged. You just have to put it on a plate, warm it up, mostly in the microwave, and put a sauce on it that was probably there from, just kept warm. And the things were pre-packaged in plastic and then heated up in the microwave. There's also already one thing that I would never do in my house. And they charge you a bunch of money for that. And it is just, it's pre-packaged and has to be pre-packaged because they are often like people, they have new staff and they have, they want to make sure that people don't give out too much, I guess, so it's a calculation game. It's not about quality. It's about calculation. It's about the numbers. And these people I worked with, they are great. I gotta be honest, I met one of the greatest people there, one of the kindest and most amazing people there. And honestly, they deserve the world. Really, really big shout out to everyone who works in kitchens and prepares our food. Big shout out. I have a lot of appreciation for all of you. But think about from a business perspective, please, that if you have so many chains all over, let's just talk about the country, and this specific chain I was working at are all over the world. So um, just think about that. It has to be a number game, you know. Yeah. So you guys, and that was the difference. So when I worked for a local company, they, the quality, it was a family business. They have such a different approach to what they give out, right? It was not prepackaged. Like they want to do good. As well as in some kitchen, I worked for a kitchen that provided food for for a company. Like there are chefs in there that really live for that. They have this creativity and they want to feed them the really delicious meal, and they live for that. They talk about it. How can we make this? And like you can feel the passion. But in a chain, that is not possible. Especially, like, that was the craziest thing for me for events. So when you go to an event, concert, theater sometimes, but yeah, concerts, yeah, all kinds of events. Those kitchens, like the biggest shock for me was how much, or hotels, they who offer like food for meetings or some, like they are, but yeah, let's stay with the events. That was for me the craziest thing, because a lot of those, they just do what they've been, they not doing this creativity thing. They are just doing tuk, 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 tuk. And yeah, for example, I worked at one space and it was like a museum and they had events there, and I worked there and they threw like green onions, okay? We had to cut them, and they threw almost all of it away. And I was like, wow, I feel like if you are in a kitchen where it is like, where you have a little bit more creativity that you can bring into this, or more flexibility, then you would find a recipe that works with the whole thing instead of throwing so much away. Because it's not just like so crazy food waste, but it's also like, it's money what they throw away, right? It's not just food. It's food and money, so it double hurts. And that's one of the biggest things I learned. And there are some schools, for example, or some restaurants, they really try to do better. But I talked to in every kitchen I worked with, because this is the biggest thing I saw. The food waste is ridiculous, especially at events. They have to throw away so much food. I mean, I understand, because it's then out, and if it's already out, like, it cannot be reused, obviously. But I was like, why? So I worked at one time in a hotel, and there were homeless people all over the street. And there was a meeting, and this company, I don't know, paid like almost like $4,000 for like a cheese plate, like a charcuterie board with real honey and like really fancy, and 60% of it came back and they had to throw it away. And often companies don't even let their employees get something home. And I'm telling you now that a lot of those employees, they feed their kids and their families from that. So, and I was like, why is that? Why do we have to throw this away? And why do we have to do this when there are so many people out there who are hungry? And the biggest thing that came back with that everyone responded was that it is a liability thing. Because, if you give it out and they say there was like something in it that made them sick, it's on them. I understand that, but I still think there should be a solution for that. Because there are people who are hungry and there are people who throw away. They are, you make so much, you make more food, so it's enough. And some people it's really just a logistic thing too. Like at events, they throw away so much. You have no clue how much they throw away at events, left and right. And I worked with people who told me, like, at like stadiums, they had a shift. They just they basically included just throwing away food. And honestly, that hurts my heart so bad, because I'm like, wow, in where do we live? So what we eat and where, like, this is I'm just talking about this because I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to find solutions. So as I said, I talked to all these people and everyone I worked with, and I always like, it's like, yeah, there must be a solution for that. And I worked for one school and they really had a solution. They kept what they, and that is something when you have this flexibility, right? When you have amazing chefs who really care, and who are happy where they work. That is something. So if you're happy where you work, you do so many good things. So they had someone come by and pick it up. So they had to store it and they were picking it up and donating it then, which is great. But that was very rare, very, very, very rare. And yeah, as I said, I met people who had to take secretly the food home, who worked there. And yeah, and with that, they just try to avoid the liability thing, right? A lot of places, they let you go home with food, a lot of places. But yeah, they still throw so much away. And when I say this, like, it's a ridiculous amount. It's not just, especially like at events, it's not just the amount what they throw away when they make it. It is also after they make it, because you always make more, especially for events. You want that it looks nice, it's more than enough. It never should look less, right? It should never be empty. That's like it's important for marketing. It's just really, really sad to me, and that we have to throw away so much food. And then it's not even like, it's not in a compost, it's in a normal bin, and that creates even more problems. So this is so it goes from people are underpaid, understaffed, then totally, like, it's a number game for chains, which is totally understandable, but just what you get. Like, it's gonna be pre-packaged, microwaved, and heated up. Like, yeah. It is, so much food thrown away, and most of them don't have a way to donate it because of the liability. So I don't know, maybe we find some solutions here together, and I would love that. So that was I had a really great time to work for all these people, honestly. And as I said, the biggest respect to all the people who stand there all day. I had some shifts where I worked over the oven, like preparing the food right in front of the people. It's hard. It's really, really hard. Let me tell you that. It's hard. And you stand all day and they barely have time to eat themselves. So yeah, biggest shout out to the people who do this every day. Biggest shout out. And yeah, so I don't know, maybe we all can find some solutions for that, and maybe support them a little bit more, maybe really appreciate them. And but yeah, especially at events, it's crazy. It just gets thrown away. Like there are no people who are hungry. It hurts my heart, and I really would love, I don't know, maybe you guys have some ideas what we can do. And I just tried to share my experience, and I would love to hear yours. Maybe you've worked in a kitchen, maybe you have different experiences. These are just the experiences that I made. And yeah, I'm really grateful for them, because it gave me a really better insight into the food industry, into the restaurant, hotel, events, and in general the whole meal prep. Like, I worked for commercial kitchens who did like meal prep, and I was like, wow, there are people paying like $8 for a pre-made smoothie that is, this is so easy to make at home. But yeah, convenience, I get it. Some people, it's still better, than to eat something else probably. But I was just very surprised that and it's fun if you have the chance to work in somewhere like that. They have a couple of apps where you can, you need to have a certain background to, I think it's even a lot more stricter now, but at this time this app was kind of new, and I did work for, at some events and some fairs, and but yeah, I never worked, like, I never, I learned there how to cut the food correctly, and how to use the knife correctly. So I learned so much, and there are so many amazing chefs who, if they have, if they can get the flexibility, and they thrive on that. But often they don't have that, and especially, as I said, in at event spaces, and or chains, or big hotels. It's just not as easy as it, it's it's that the bigger it is, the more it's about numbers. That's just a really simple way of saying that. So support your locals, guys. Support them, support some local restaurants. It's always a good thing to support your neighbors, and appreciate them. They stand in the kitchen for a long time, and they pour their heart into those meals. And maybe we can find something that helps with this food waste, because this is still a topic that needs to be addressed, you guys. It can't be that there are people out on the streets having no food and just are building away. They throw away tons of food. Tons. Okay, that was it. Okay. Okay, I would love to hear your thoughts on that, and have a beautiful day, and thank you so much for listening.